don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the very special Friday episode of the Political Spotlight. I am your host, Christopher H. Bilbrey. We're calling it episode 331. This is a very special episode. We normally would be off tonight. The Political Spotlight, myself, Brandon Rudd, and producer Kate. We are generally live 5 nights a week, Sunday through Thursday, right here on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and on and on and on and on. Generally, we are off on Fridays and Saturdays. However, we are live tonight because we are taking a look at a very special situation because it pertains to students. It pertains to school-age children I would assume in kindergarten, pre-K, up through senior year. At a school system here in Delaware County, Indiana. That is the Wes-Del Community School Corporation. Wes-Del Community School Corporation is one of the smaller school corps here in Delaware County. I think looking at the information that I had, there were roughly around 860 some students in 2022, and under 70 teachers in the school system. But it's a mighty school system. They put up great students, have a pretty good sports program, and it's a school system that students are proud to come from, and the people love living in the area. And it's just been a good school system over the years. I'm from Delaware Community School Corporation, Delta. We were to the east of that. Obviously, Wes-Del is in the northwestern corner of Delaware County, and Delta seemed to be a little bit more into the northeastern corner of the county. And we weren't really rivals, really, but we always kind of joked with the other kids from Wes-Del. But we became aware of this situation over several different government meetings here in Delaware County over the last couple years because of just rumblings of things that were going on. And I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to it at first. Until a meeting of the Delaware County Redevelopment Commission, which would have been in May of this year. And then the meeting that occurred in June of this year really kind of turned everything on its head. So we've been paying attention to this. We've been following this basically since August, September. I did a first look at this back on October 10th, Thursday, October 10th. That's episode 304. And if you have not went back and looked at that episode, this is not a situation where you have to necessarily watch that episode and then this episode. You can watch them out of order, but I would highly recommend watching both episodes so you get an understanding of everything that's involved here and everything that's been going on. I would definitely look at all of the episodes together. So if you're watching this and you haven't watched 304, go back and watch that episode after this episode or watch it later, but definitely get both of them. We are obviously a political program mostly. We focus on local, state, and national politics. And this does pertain to the government here in Delaware County. And obviously, it is something that pertains to the students. And anytime you've got a story that deals with students and school system, it's something that people are going to pay attention to. And this is definitely something that folks should pay attention to. Now, I want to ask you before we get started, like we would every episode, if you would please consider subscribing. If you are not subscribed to the channel, it does not cost you anything. It would you go click the subscription button. Doing that would then allow you to click the bell, which would allow you to get notifications when we go live. Like I said, we're normally live Sunday through Thursday at 9 p.m. We are going live an hour early tonight. I will say that I did not know at the time that we set this up that these two guys, I'm sure you're not aware of who they are. We're going to be doing a little thing on a pretty unknown streaming platform. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of Netflix or not, but two gentlemen that aren't very well known. One of them's name is Robert Tyson. No, not Robert. Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are going to be, actually it's going on right now, so I'm sure that's hurting our viewership, our live viewership. But one of the good things I can say is people can always come back and watch this after the fact. But I didn't know that the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight would be going on right at 8 p.m. Eastern. That was probably a slip up on my part. I guess I'll say here's hoping that Tyson knocks him out within the first 15 seconds so everybody can leave that and pop on over here. This is probably going to be a 2.5 hour long program. So if you got to dip out because you want to go see Tyson destroy Paul, do that and come on back. We will be here. And obviously you can, pick up anything that you've missed throughout a later watch. So, okay, I do want to say this. This is one thing I want to be clear about. Generally, we do put up comments during the shows, and we allow you guys, because we are a very interactive program. We love to hear what you say. We do not block people. We allow anyone to comment. This is a very free and open platform. The only thing that we block is spam, bots, violent or sexual things of nature, or anything that goes against the terms of service of YouTube or Rumble or whatever. So short of that, if you guys are fighting each other, if you guys are disagreeing, calling each other names, do your damnedest. We do not block anybody. I ask people to try to do their best to get along and have conversations that are helpful and, move the conversation along. However, tonight, because we're going to be focusing on records and because we're focusing kind of on a timeline, after we start the program in chief, we start going into the topic at hand, because Kate and I are going to be off what we call off channel here, looking at different things. Kate's probably not going to be putting up comments on the screen. So, she might do that until we get started during this intro portion, but once we get started, she probably won't. I will tell you, if you're watching this and you have a question, if you have something that is of important that you think that we need to know or hear or see, what I would like to do is I would like to ask you to simply do this before putting the question in. If you could hit maybe 3 asterisks and then ask your question. Then when we go back and look at that, you'll see that pop up here in just a moment. When you do that, that will allow us to be able to see, hey, there's something here that we need to be paying attention to. And that would allow us to then flag your comment. And if we can get to the questions at the end, we will do so. So we'll try to flag those. If we miss something, if we do not see your question, your comment, do not get all hinky. Get a hold of me, hit me up on Messenger, text me, email me, do something. And if there's something I can do to help you, I will do what I can. No stumblefoot, not technically. I love knowing that everyone's playing along so far. All right. So the other thing I want to tell you is I don't know what I'm doing as far as the technical stuff with email and links and things like that. That's Kate's department. There are over 70 some documents here. And we're going to be going through a lot of these documents and a lot of the information. We are going to make the documents available for everybody. Kate's already been putting this up. We believe that we have this how we should. We believe that you should be able to access these documents and look at them. If you have a hard time getting into the documents, please, please, please put the 3 asterisks up and let us know you're having a hard time. And if you cannot get into it until after the show, bear with us. We will make sure that anybody that wants these documents can have access to these documents. I also, before we get started, we're getting ready to get started right now. I'm kind of talking to see, hopefully, if Mike Tyson will come out and just go ahead and knock him out and get it over with. But I guess that's not going to happen. Who knows? I could have done this on the Super Bowl. We could have held this off to the Super Bowl, and maybe that would have been the only other thing that would have been more ridiculous. So, okay, here's the deal. I want to be sure that people are aware of this. I have offered to talk to anybody that wanted to talk about this. I have put my phone number out there. I've put my email out there. I have said that I would talk to people on the record and I would talk to people off the record. Okay. So, see, I thought, Craig, all right, I get it. Cause I thought that those fights had been occurring already. I thought at 8:00 was the main show. So good. We're good. We're ready to rock and roll. That's excellent. Well, I love it then. So people will dip out right at the main point, right when we're getting ready to unmask the villain. And that's good to know. Okay, so I do feel better about that because I was like, wait, this guy doesn't look like Tyson. It doesn't look like Tyson or Jake Paul. What's going on? But now I know what's happening. I just want it to be clear. Number one, I have offered to talk to anybody about this. Anyone from Delaware County government, anyone from the Wes-Del School Corporation, anybody from the school board, the superintendent. And I want to say for the record, no one from the Wes-Del Community School Corporation reached out to speak to me in these 2 months that have went that have went on during this. During our first video back on October 10th, the Wes-Del school superintendent, Kyle Mealy, was in the comments and was communicating, and I appreciate him doing that. I appreciate him, right, wrong, or indifferent, when we get to the end of this, no matter what we feel about him, I appreciate that he was here and commenting. Maybe we'll see him tonight. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But I have offered to speak to him on the record, off the record. I have offered to speak to any of the school board members on the record, off the record, or any teachers or anyone else, anybody in the administration, anyone else. I've also offered to talk to parents and students and anybody else in between. I have talked to a number of folks. That being said, I have not heard from anyone from the school system other than in the couple videos that we've done on this. So just so you're aware, that's what's going on here. As we get ready to get started here, I do want to let you know. Let me see here. I'm making sure that we got everything going here. Let me get this started. Let me ask you this before we get started. Has anyone went and looked at these documents? Have any of you opened these documents up? Is there anybody that's tried to go through the Google Drive? And if so, have you been able to open the documents? Is there anybody that's been able to open the documents? Just the first two. Joe Black. Okay. Have you had any issue? Have you been able to access them appropriately? That's the main question. No, I'm guilty. I haven't tried. That's fine. Because we're going to go through them here. No, you're fine. You're fine, Craig. And I'll tell you, this is probably not the end of this. I will let you know that I found out that there's actually a letter going to the school corporation from, I guess, Delaware County or the attorney's office that will be sent out sometime in the next week or so. So I don't have access to that. As more happens, we will do follow-ups to this. But, so, this doesn't mean this is the end all and we're never going to talk about this again. So if there's anybody that would like to talk, just want to let you guys know that, that still is open and I still will offer that to anybody that wants to talk about this. I'm just letting everyone know that tonight is probably not the night that I'm going to debate in the comments either Delaware County officials or the school board officials. I'm going to let you guys comment. I'm going to let you guys go back and forth, but I'm going to stick on cue. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and pop this open. I do want to let you guys know, I guess before we get started, just a brief little synopsis of this. Apparently for some time, the school corporation of Wes-Del has had an issue with their wastewater treatment facility. And very good. Thank you. Yes, please, 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 please share this around. Share the show with anyone you know. Help spread the word. Help get this out. We want people in the community, specifically in the community of Gaston, in the community of the northwestern Delaware County, anybody that goes to Wes-Del, anyone in Harrison or Washington townships, we want to spread this word to them. So that's big. And then lastly, anyone else in Delaware County. So that's very big. Hello there, Tim. Tim, if you have not checked, please, 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 if you need access to the documents, we have created a document dump. Kate just put it there in the chat. It should be easy for you to access. If you have any kind of issues accessing that, please let us know. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead as we're getting started here, and I'm going to send you in Messenger. I'm going to send you the link, and that way you can look at these documents as we go. If you have any trouble accessing that, please let us know in the comments, and we'll get started. We can help you out with that. So, okay. This Wes-Del wastewater issue has been a thing going on for a couple of years. And when I became aware of it, I was at a redevelopment commission. Kyle Mealy, the superintendent, had asked for money from the redevelopment commission, and it seemed as though they were kind of really questioning him, which is their job. That's something that they should be doing. They should be doing that to everyone. But it seemed as though they were really kind of going at him, questioning a little harder than I normally see them do. And I didn't understand like what was going on with that at first. And then the attorney spoke up, John Brook, and he said, you know, well, we had $400 that the commissioners had put aside for them from the American Rescue Plan money, and it just sat there. They never came to get it. And so that was kind of strange, and that's what all of this started with. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up probably one of the most helpful documents in this. So for you guys that are looking through this would be document 45. When you're going along with this is document 45. And this is, I'm going to jump back and forth on documents. That's why they're numbered for your ease. But we're going to go kind of in a timeline, but this is probably the easiest place to start. This is a letter that was authored by Danielle Struble, who's an attorney for the Delaware County Regional Wastewater District. I think she also assists with the Redevelopment Commission. I think she could also assist with the commissioners. She's in with John Brook, who is the main attorney for the commissioners and the regional wastewater. Okay. Stand by one second. Let me get this here. Okay. So what you see here is this letter. Oh, yes. Okay, good. All right. That's correct. The numbering system that I have is one number off for you guys. So it's number 46 in Google Drive. Thank you, Kate, for that. And I will make sure to transpose that every time I say that. So this is 46 in the Google Drive. This says, and this is from Danielle Struble to someone that works with IDEM, and that is the Indiana Department. What does IDEM stand for? Indiana Department of
Environmental Management.
Environmental Management. Yeah. That's it. And it's the Office of the Land Quality. Okay. So it says, by way of introduction, I represent the Delaware County Regional Wastewater District. It was brought to my attention that you had a conversation with Jason Richards of the district, of the district executive director earlier this week regarding Wes-Del School Corporation. Due to the nature of this conversation, the district would like to submit this formal notice for IDEM records. I am in receipt of Wes-Del's compliance plan quarterly reports from April 2024, December 2023, and October 2023. I have reviewed the information contained therein, and I would like to respond to the allegations as they relate to the district. It seems important to identify specific dates related to this matter. In the summer of 2022, the district was approached about the need for Wes-Del to decommission the wastewater plant and become a customer of the district and run lines to the town of Gaston for treatment of its flow. The district began discussions about listing this project in the plans for potential funding through the American Rescue Plan dollars to be awarded by the Delaware County Commissioners. At no point in time was the district ever willing to fund the project with money from its current customer base. Well, of course, that's just not something that doesn't make sense. Surely they're aware they wouldn't do that, okay? That's just common sense. The district's president, Bill Walters, Jason Richards were asked to attend a meeting with Kyle Mealy, Katrina Gleason, the Gaston Town Board president, and a couple other individuals in the fall of 2023. All right, so that you know who these people are. Again, Bill Walters and Jason Richards are from the Regional Wastewater. Kyle Mealy's the superintendent of Wes-Del, and Katrina Gleason at the time was the Gaston Town Board president, along with a couple of others. Over the next several months, the district engaged Commonwealth engineers to begin a PRE for project, and myself to begin drafting a memorandum of understanding for the district, Gaston, and Wes-Del. Now, what they were originally talking about doing is something that I think everybody would have been happy with. And this would have been running basically sewer lines from Gaston out to the school, and then from there out 28 to 69. And everybody would have been happy with that. That would have helped with economic development. That would have helped with a lot of different things. By the beginning of 2023, the district was very anxious to get the MOU signed due to tens of thousands of dollars being invested in making the project possible for Wes-Del. When something starts happening like this, you get people working on it. You've got legal fees, you've got the engineers that are working on it, and it doesn't take very long to start really kind of collecting money that's being spent on this. Okay, so that's really important to understand. So they were interested in and anxious in getting this MOU signed due to this money being invested in making the project possible for Wes-Del. Gaston and the district signed the MOU. So the town of Gaston signed it, the wastewater district signed it, all on January 12th, 2023. See Exhibit A, which we will see here in a moment. As you are aware, there are strict guidelines attached to all monies encumbered by the ARP funding. The commissioners wanted a definite answer on Wes-Del's commitment to this project. Wes-Del continued to refuse to commit to moving forward with the project. Kyle Mealy told the district that he did not want the district to present any information in a public board meeting, and he preferred to schedule a working session. Now, I'm going to tell you, this would have been my first thing that I would have had an issue with. And I understand that there is a time and a place for there to be private discussions and for the public to be, kind of out of the loop about what's going on. But I think undertaking a project this big, the fact that early on, Kyle Mealy, the school superintendent, was not wanting this to be made public would have caused me to have questions early on. And he wanted to have a discussion with his board before the public heard about the plans. A February 7th, 2023 email is included from Kyle Mealy showing his concern that if the district or Commonwealth were to appear for a Wes-Del board meeting, it was only to be for introducing themselves and not to discuss the project. See Exhibit B, which we will see in a moment. I was then forwarded their attorney for further communication. Finally, after Wes-Del's attorney, John Becker, refused to respond to the setting a time for a working session with Gaston and the district, we set a time that would be convenient for Gaston and the district to make sure the project was moving forward. Once the meeting was set, Wes-Del went from the ones who needed help with the sewer treatment plant to being invited to the meeting and wanting to know what our clients would like to discuss with the school board. So it very quickly went from them asking for help to being like, what do you want from us? Which is very strange. To me, it seems like one hand doesn't know what the other one's doing within the school system. Bill Walters, Jason Richards, myself attended the February 27th, 2023 executive session hosted by the town of Gaston, which means there are no public there. The meeting did not go well. Kyle Mealy denied most of what he had said in his initial meeting with Bill Walters and Katina Gleason. Why would that be? As it concerned Wes-Del's desire to enter into the agreement with all of our entities to fix the sewage treatment plant problems. To say the district was appalled was an understatement. I followed up with a March 1st, 2023 letter to John Becker to make sure that he could not misinterpret any further conversation with his client. Wes-Del was put on notice in a letter that what role the district was able to play due to the ARP funds. Wes-Del was notified that if the project did not move forward, the funds would be reappropriated. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, the $400,000 that the Delaware County government said that they would give to Wes-Del in the ARP funds. And they sat there and they sat there and they eventually got reappropriated because Wes-Del, for whatever reason, we're hopefully going to learn here, became wonky and didn't want to do anything with it, okay? There was absolutely no confusion regarding that fact. Once John Becker received the letter, he canceled the phone call with Gaston's attorney and Danielle Struble. That cancellation was discussed with the district redevelopment commission and the commissioners. At their request, I was advised to withhold the final PER from Wes-Del until Wes-Del signed the MOU. Struble sent an email with that information to the attorney for Wes-Del on March 6th, 2023, which the exhibit is in here. Wes-Del quit communicating with the district altogether at that point. She followed up one last time on March 10th, 2023 with a letter asking why a proposed agreement had never been circulated, why no response was sent to my email, and why Kyle Mealy was not responding to Bill Walters. The deadline to submit an application for funding was March 31st, 2023. On March 27th, 2023, Kyle Mealy indicated in his letter to IDEM that the deal fell through due to a lack of funding. All right, and we're going to look at these letters. So everything we're going to be talking about, you're going to see. The question has to be, what is going on when there is proof that Kyle Mealy was being told, the money's here, it's available, we just need you to agree to move forward with this. And then you have Kyle Mealy telling IDEM the project fell through due to a lack of funding. That's a lie. And it's concerning. There's been no communication between the district and Wes-Del since that time. Kyle Mealy had communications with Gaston's town president, Katina Gleason, on April 5th, 2024, wherein she asked if he wanted Bill Walters present at a meeting, and Kyle Mealy responded, "I don't see any reason to have Bill Walters attend our meeting on Tuesday." In Wes-Del's most recent quarterly report, Superintendent Kyle Mealy failed to identify the fact that Bill Walters did not attend the May 9th Delaware County Redevelopment meeting on behalf of the district or in an effort to support Mealy's presence. Mr. Walters works for the Redevelopment Commission through Augusta Consulting. At no point in time did Mr. Walters or the district ever reach out to Wes-Del to revive or initiate discussions related to assisting the school with phase 2 of its plans. They did not do that. Okay. I went back and rewatched the Redevelopment Commission meeting, and at no point in time did Mr. Walters ever indicate he would be reaching out to Kyle Mealy for further discussion. Wes-Del is not awaiting contact from the school. It was mentioned more than one time that Wes-Del was focused on finishing their work to get the AstroTurf football field project and bond completed without any issues before the school was able to deal with a new sewer plant. The district sends this letter to explicitly explain its role in communications with Wes-Del that ceased February 27th, 2023. The district wholly disclaims any involvement in any allegations Wes-Del has made in its quarterly reports or verbal communications with IDEM since that date. Should you have any further questions, please feel free to contact myself, Jason Richards, or Bill Walters. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Danielle Struble. I would be shocked if the $400,000 would have covered the entire cost. I think it would take more than that. I think that would have been a start, but I doubt. P.S. The Gaston community has been discussing this issue over the past week. It appears word has made its way to Wes-Del. In the time it took me to compile this information over the past couple days, Kyle Mealy sent an email to Bill Walters asking if the district would sit down so we can clear any confusion or misunderstanding up from our last plans for the sewage treatment plant. See Exhibit J. Bill Walters' response on behalf of the district is also included as Exhibit K. When we asked for clarification about our role in any discussion, Kyle Mealy did not explain how he envisioned the district assisting with any further project. Instead, he sent the email identified in Exhibit L. Okay, now we're going to look at these exhibits. Estimated cost from Commonwealth Engineering was $5 million from Gaston to Wes-Del only. Okay, I think I have those breakdowns. Okay, here's the memorandum of understanding, and this was what was drawn up between the district, Gaston, and Wes-Del. Okay, and this basically talked about what each of them would do, what their parts were, what work was going to be done, and all of that. Gaston will be the new treatment provider for Wes-Del. The Delaware County Regional Wastewater District will assume the maintenance and operation of the wastewater force main from the point of new lift station, also maintained and operated at the site of Wes-Del, and will be responsible for the lines from that point to Gaston. Wes-Del will be responsible for maintenance and operation of the treatment lines from its facilities to the lift station. Wes-Del will work with the DCRWD to ensure proper access to operations and facilities during construction. The Delaware County commissioners have approved $500,000 in ARP money. Delaware County Redevelopment Commission has pledged $288,500 from the Morrison Road TIF towards the cost of the project. And DCRWD has used $20,000 in ARP funds to pay for the cost of the PR and to solicit funding to construct the proposed project. Wes-Del may qualify for grant forgiveness for a proportion of the remaining project cost. Any additional costs to complete the project will be paid by Wes-Del. DCRWD shall have no expense contributed to in excess of the ARP funds and Morrison Road TIF funds referenced herein. Okay, and then we see a project timeline. Okay. And we can see here where it was signed by Walters. It was signed by Gleason, but it was not signed by the superintendent from Wes-Del. Okay, here is B. Here is an email from Mealy to Danielle Struble. The MOU states that the Wes-Del Board of Trustees may be required to fund over $1 million for the project. Per statutory requirements, the Board of Trustees cannot sign the MOU without following statutory requirements for the projects over $1 million. Therefore, the Board of Trustees cannot sign the MOU. And that was stated on Tuesday, February 7th, 2023. If you have further questions, please contact John Becker, who is representing the school district on this project. He is included in this email. It is our expectation that the MOU will be signed by Wes-Del Board on Thursday. Gaston and DCRWD have already signed it. This project must move forward in a timely manner. Wes-Del is a school. I do want to say again for the record, since the October 10th, 2024, I have had a number of people reach out to me about this through the various ways that I put out, but no one from the school, the superintendent's office, or anyone else as far as on behalf of the superintendent or the superintendent's office has reached out to me. I am willing to look at any information that they want to submit, and they can do so. Kate, can you put up the email address? The thing. I emailed the Political Spotlight, and you know that. Let's take a look at that real quick. Take a look. Give me 1 second. From what email? Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. Yes. You emailed those links. Yes. Sorry. My bad. Yes. After the last just the quick little update video telling people about tonight's video, you did email those links requested. I mean, like, for example, you're talking about having emails showing something that you're speaking of. If you have emails that disprove anything here, please submit them, and I will gladly look at them. And if there's anything that disproves anything that they're saying here, I would gladly look at. Right. And again, these are records that the county and other various entities have given me. So if you have anything out there that you think that they have not given me, is what I'm saying. If there's anything that you feel like they haven't that clears anything up, you can send that to the same email. Okay. So moving on here, we see the back and forth between Struble and Kyle Mealy. Okay. We can't bond for anything over $1 million. There's the big answer. That bond process would take. So up here you've said the Wes-Del as a school would have to hold 2 public hearings for the bonds, which is not mentioned by the attorney for the county. That bond process would take 6 months for anything over $1 million. So it would just take a period of time. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Here we've got the email C, Exhibit C, which is the email from John Becker to Bill Walters. I am preparing a letter that I will send to you today, but wanted to get this information to you immediately since I have not heard back from you on a date. This is from Struble to John Becker. The Regional Wastewater District, Gaston, have made time to meet on Monday, the 27th of February at 5:30 p.m. I would encourage you to make sure this date works for Wes-Del if this project is going to move forward. Do you have a preference of where we meet? I have a large conference room if that can be used. Okay. February 23rd. John, Gaston was not interested in waiting on Wes-Del's board meeting to coordinate schedules, so they have posted their notice of an executive session on Monday at 5:30 p.m. at my office. Please extend the invite to Wes-Del board. The Regional Wastewater Board president and director will be present, along with myself. I encourage you to relay this information ASAP. Setting a meeting does not require a board to meet first, which is also true. And as I said the last time, and I fully believe that. I can understand and can get behind the idea of there being hard feelings from the county government towards Gaston, Wes-Del, excuse me, not Gaston, forgive me, towards Wes-Del Community School Corporation for standing with the citizens of Gaston. That can make sense. I can make sense. Now, I've got some questions that we will get to a little bit further here, and maybe you can answer those. Let me get down through here. Again, this is just the chain of emails that she has stated would be provided in that letter that we read. Again, anyone can see all of these. This records dump of 60 some emails have been provided out there for anyone and everyone to see. If you want this, you can have access to this. It is out there. Get down to the one. And I'll go back up and show the email that he is referring to. That's this email right here from February 7th. The MOU states that the Wes-Del Board of Trustees may be required to fund over $1 million for the project. Per statutory requirements, the Board of Trustees cannot sign the MOU without following statutory requirements for projects over $1 million. Therefore, the Board of Trustees cannot sign the MOU. Okay. There is no record of Walters walking up to myself and another board member after. I have correspondence about that in here in a minute. I will get to. There's some correspondence in here about that. I'm getting down to exhibit like E here. Okay, this will be interesting. Okay, so here is Strubal's email about the meeting that she said that she thought that things kind of went sideways. My client would like to address a few issues that were discussed at the meeting on February 27th. The meeting left my client feeling very differently about Wes-Del's intentions with this project, especially in comparison to the initial meeting with Kyle Mealy when he approached the district in the summer of 2022. As a result, we would like to make a few things clear so there is no misinterpretation as to the district's role in this project. The district is solely responsible for securing the entry of the entirety of the ARP funds. Those funds belong to the district, and the $500,000 is only contribution that the district will be making to this project. If the project does not proceed, those funds will be used for a different Delaware County project. The TIF funds were likewise appropriated for the specific project. If the project does not proceed, those funds will also be appropriated for different project. None of the funds will be available for Wes-Del's use in advance of Wes-Del committing to a bond to complete the project. This directive is from the county commissioners. The district will also not proceed with the project if the Commonwealth is removed as engineer. As of my last conversation with Aubrey, Gaston shared the same sentiment. Delaware County requested Commonwealth's involvement. They are the engineers for the district as well as for Gaston. It also seems important to address the differences between the urgency and the threats. Accusing the district of threatening Wes-Del does not leave the impression that Wes-Del truly wants to work with the district and Gaston on this project. That was a definite setback at the meeting. Wes-Del is free to figure out a resolution to its treatment plant issue without the involvement of the district and or Gaston and the nearly $750,000 in money currently available for this project. Now, my question is, what's the difference here? Because obviously we have no proof of what went down in the executive meeting. That's the problem with executive meetings. So we have it's a he said, she said. What they're saying is things went sideways in the meeting. Why is it that they believe that meeting went so badly? What happened in that meeting that caused this reaction? Are you saying, do you agree that this meeting went down like this, or do you believe differently? Okay, so when they say here in this letter that Bill Walters has reached out to Kyle Mealy and has not received a response, was there a point that would you state that you did in fact stop replying? I mean, was that a judgment call that you felt like, hey, we're not going to get anything out of these people, or this is not going to be a partnership that we want to get involved with, or there's not something that we want to try to figure out here? What was the point of shutting down communication? Okay, this was from Mealy to Gleason. Okay. Get down here to from Kyle. This is May 23rd, 2024. Bill and Katina. He is responding to Bill here. Bill, I see Bill Walters' email right here, in there, so to be fair, he is emailing them. Now, this was obviously in this year, but I will be recommending that Wes-Del Board of Trustees set up a meeting with Gaston and the Delaware County Regional Wastewater representatives to discuss the sewage treatment concerns. I hope that they will agree so that we can clear up any confusion or misunderstanding from our last plans for the sewage treatment plant. Bill, I know you discussed this with myself and Amy Townsend at the Redevelopment Commission meeting. I am hoping it would do us some good with a solution. We have a meeting tonight, so I will follow up in the next few days. Okay. Give me a second. I will pull that up. Okay, so this is from Bill back to Kyle. I would like to better understand your request for a meeting. After Wes-Del backed out of the project at the beginning of 2023, the district has not been involved in any communication with Wes-Del. The district no longer has ARP funds to contribute to any project for Wes-Del. Should the district agree to sit down, our legal counsel will be present. In our discussion at the redevelopment meeting in early May, I thought you asked if we would want to sit down again with Gaston. My apologies. I must have misunderstood. I will let the board know that is not the case. Thanks. Okay, so that's the end of that file. Now, did you have something pulled up there, Kate? Okay. Now, let me pull this down here just briefly.
That last email there is what Kyle forwarded to us.
Okay, this one right here. Okay.
You got
so that would have been on May 24th, 2024.
Yes, that was the email.
Well, or rather, yeah, this one from Friday, May 24th, this one here. There it is. My email was a response back to Bill proving the attorney is incorrect about no response to Bill. So let's go back up here really quickly and see if she gives any kind of timeline in this email or when she's talking. Because all right, so she sent this. So this is after all of those. Yeah, look, I've got to be fair. I mean, what you're saying is correct. What you're saying is correct. Now, obviously, I don't know what happened I would love to have an understanding of what happened in the executive meeting that led for, because here's what it seems as if. It seems as if there was an agreement of people to try to look at doing a project, and they were going to help with the understanding that you guys bonded most of the money for the project. And at some point, you said, well, we can't bond $1 million. And they were still wanting to go ahead. What happened in that executive meeting? I hear you. Listen, I get it. 1000%. I understand where you're coming from on that. Okay. Now, let's look at this.
Chris, I feel like Mr. Mealy feels like we're attacking him, and that is not the case. There are holes in what we've been sent. I mean, we got this huge document dump, and we've been sorting through it for 2 weeks now. And after 2 weeks of going through it, we still don't have a clear picture of exactly what happened. And it's not like we can point a finger at the school district or the superintendent or, the redevelopment commission, the commissioners. There's holes in this that don't make sense. And so what we're doing is trying to sort through this as best as we can, so that the public at least knows kind of when things started and how they've progressed and to where we are now. He and I were talking last night after the show, talking about getting ready to go through this, and I'm glad he's busy and I can talk.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, do it. It's great.
There's nothing in this that says, well,
yes,
and it's just a piece of shit,
Yeah.
But there's nothing in it that says that the district did anything wrong either. The whole thing is confusing. But the emails that we're going back to, the first one is all the way back in 2021.
Yeah.
And it is talking about the solar.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that was in that record dump. It's the earliest document.
Right here.
Right there. Document number 1. I mean, we start off with solar and then we switch into this. Here you can have this money. No, now you can't have that money. And what we're not seeing is the in-between.
Yeah.
So you're given the money for the ARP. The school board minutes, I'm sorry, are shit.
Yes.
They are not helpful at all in trying to gain any kind of understanding about what the school board is discussing. So we have gaps in our understanding because of that. The minutes are minimal that's available. But so as I said, we're just trying to present what we know and what information we have. This is not going to be a finger pointing thing at this stage of the game. If you have information about school boards or you have recordings of school board meetings that are discussing these projects, we would love to hear them because we would love to fill in the gaps.
Absolutely.
Because right now it looks like almost this doesn't paint a picture of anybody doing anything wrong. It just seems like you get money and then a year later, nothing's been done. And, you know, the money's taken away because you haven't done anything. Why the wait? That's the question. And because we don't have the school board meetings, we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good said, Kate. We'll get to this email here in a minute. We said we weren't going to do this, but I think that it makes sense to put this up. So Mealy has said, here it is. The commissioners through the district gave ARP money, 400,000, 500,000, whatever. They had an estimate of $5 million for the whole project. They got $400,000. To bond that kind of money, it would take over 6 months due to the statutory law. So they weren't going to be able to just, bam, sign the MOU ahead of everything else because they legally could not have done that. They said, sign the MOU or lose the ARP money. However, they could not sign the MOU without first informing the taxpayers that they were doing that. So this is kind of like a reverse, which came first, the chicken or the egg. Like in order to not lose the money, they needed to sign the MOU, but in order to sign the MOU, they needed more money. They couldn't bond for the money they needed to be able to sign the MOU. Because of that, they lost the ARP money. He goes on and says, the day after the work session, I called Bill and stated I called Bill and I guess Bill stated the board was releasing the ARP money because we can't make that timeline. Bill said, we will redistribute that ARP money for another project. And Mealy said, I understand. When you're done with this here, I have a really important question. That's not documented because Bill and Bookout don't have documentation of the phone conversations and face-to-face. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I agree with that. Now I am going to pull. I want to pull this up, but I do have one question for you, and we'll get to these documents that'll show this. But I do have one really big question. So I think what would help for us, what would help for me to understand some of the questions and the issues here would help kind of fill in some of the holes. Can you answer for why? I guess I see why. So without knowing why you didn't sign for the MOU at the time, which you clearly had told them, but they had not said that. Without knowing at the time why you didn't sign the MOU, finding out that you told IDEM that, well, the money fell through, seemed like that was a lie. However, with your understanding, it wasn't a lie because the money did fall through because you knew that you could not sign the MOU. So folks need to understand that as well. And listen, I want to say it is absolutely clear to me that it is possible that this could be a form of retribution for standing with the community against solar. And I say that as we bring up this next document, which Kate referenced, that was sent out on Monday, January 24th, 2022 at 11:53 a.m. Okay.
I'm sorry, it was 2022.
Yeah.
Early 2022.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of documents here lately.
Yes, yeah, there are. So this was sent to book out from John Christie. We stopped a multi-million-dollar solar project and our community thanked us then. Now they are turning on us because we once again protected the taxpayers. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I definitely understand what you're saying. And I'm gonna be honest. You've been painted as the bad guy in every aspect of this with nearly anyone that I've talked to.
Scroll down and read that email.
Yeah. Listen to this. So this was John Christie sent this to Jason Kuchme on January 24th, 2022. The subject is Meadow Forge Solar Project. Mr. Kuchme, my name is John Christie. I am part of the group opposing the Invenergy Meadow Forge Solar Farm in northern Delaware County. This group also includes Reese Collins, Jerry Kirtley, Tom Richards, family, and others. All good people. I was present at the meeting at Wes-Del School January 22nd. I was there too. On that day, I had a conversation with Kyle Mealy, superintendent of Wes-Del Schools. He expressed to me that previous to the solar farm project issue, Wes-Del School was working on an extensive water and sewage project that would involve the 3 TIF districts in the school district, Harrison Township. One of the Delaware County commissioners also is on the TIF board. He indicated to Mr. Mealy that the 2 issues would conflict. Listen to this. The 2 issues would conflict. Perhaps a day or so later, Mr. Mealy was contacted by Invenergy And that person indicated that Invenergy could quickly solve the issues and offer to finance the school's project. I also reached out to Joseph Goetz at IDEM, as there is a CAFO within Invenergy's project map. He indicated to me this issue was responsibility of the landowner and would have to be addressed. Thank you, John Christie. An estimate to build a new sewage plant on our property is 2 or 2.5 million, which is from our engineers. We didn't do the 5 million deal with DRW and Gaston because the timeline and the cost. Sure. Absolutely. But I want people to really consider what is being said here in this. This is very interesting. Okay. Let's move on here. Pull this down. Let me get the other. Jeffrey McMullen, what reference what? What are you talking about? Stand by here. Looking for this IDEM stuff. Absolutely, sir. Well, I think that email was very interesting. Yeah, that email there for everybody that wants to know is the very first email, is the very first document in the Google in the docs document dump for anyone that wants to see it. Okay. Here's the next. This is Kate, it's 4 for me. Would it be 3? Oh yeah, that's good. I will do that too. While I'm pulling this up, I want you guys to look at this. I'm going to blow this up. I'm going to put this on here. Let you see this. Number 8. right here. 8 down to there. You can see it. Okay. Let's see here. Second here. Okay. So I've got this pulled up. I'll read this unless you guys have read this. Conyers recognized Wes-Del Community Schools Superintendent Kyle Mealy. Mealy shared that he was accompanied by school board member Larry Batt and Amy Townsend. Mealy noted that from previous requests, funds were pledged for a Wes-Del sewer project that did not go forward. The commission noted that the funds pledged were American Rescue funds, which are under the commissioner's control. Mealy noted that the most recent need is for the relining of the sewage collection system. The school's engineering company is Schmidt and Associates. They noted that this is phase 1 of a larger project. The estimated cost is $150,000. Mealy referenced that IDEM has the school on notice for an inadequate system. During heavy rains, water flushes the system into a nearby ditch. The school is not opposed to connecting to the system at Gaston or another nearby point. Kiesling noted the sewer to the school could help with the growth of County Road 600 West to I-69. Mealy noted the board would love to see growth in the area. Green asked if Mealy had gone back to the commissioners regarding the previous pledge. Attorney John Brook noted the previous ARP pledge was not utilized by the school and funds were transferred to another line items. Various comments were made from the audience offering help from Delaware County Regional Wastewater. And you hear it there. This is why, and of course the video can show you, but that did happen. I was there. In the Muncie Sanitary District noting SRF and other grants may be available to help. Mealy noted that after televising the sewer, the engineering company estimated the cost at $200,000, and Kiesling motioned to approve the amount. Batter second, motion carried 5-0. That is what then was later rescinded. Okay. No, you're fine. You're fine. I definitely get it. You're on the hook. I get it. You're trying to get the information out in a quick manner. I get it. Okay, let me see what this is here. 1 second. Okay, now listen to this. Just for context, because I know that people have slept since then, and I was here as well. But it's been a minute.
Kyle Mealy.
Good morning. I want to thank the commissioners for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kyle Mealy. I am the superintendent of schools at Wes-Del Community Schools. I also have 2 students at Wes-Del Community Schools, so I'm also a parent. And although I'm just outside the district, I consider myself a community member with those in Gaston, since that is the community I serve. I'm here on behalf of the Board of Trustees with a few questions that we do have to raise to the commissioners. The first thing, my attendance today is due to the fact that the Board of Trustees did not receive proper notification and communication of exactly what this whole project entailed. We did receive one letter, I believe in October. It was addressed to my office. It did lack quite a bit of information that we're starting to gather now. And that's where our questions come from, because we know that there are always 2 sides of the story and trying to get the facts straight. A couple of our concerns include a tax abatement. A tax abatement for this amount of ground would have a considerable impact to the school corporation and to the district, and then in turn to the community. If that amount of acreage did receive a tax abatement, the operations fund for the school district would take a direct hit. An operations fund would not allow, with a reduced operations fund, it would not allow us to have the programs we have for our students. With our vision and our mission being a small school with big opportunities, we'd be cutting into those big opportunities. Also, we would no longer be able to maintain, improve, and invest in the buildings and grounds at the level we are now. We do currently carry the lowest tax rate of any school district of the 6 county schools, which we're very proud of. At the same time, we're able to provide what I would consider some of the finest facilities and grounds in Delaware County in public education. If we reduce the operations fund, which is completely and solely provided from property tax dollars, many of our buildings and grounds would take a direct hit and would not be able to be improved. There, in turn, would cause us to have to look for a referendum, and that would mean that the other taxpayers outside the abatement would have to pick up that tax rate increase, and we don't think that's fair to our community. We do know they would step up and do so. As you can see, as we talked about, and I was very impressed with the strategic plan, there was a piece of that that said strong rural community. I think it's very apparent that you have a strong rural community here today. The loss of property tax will cut programs for over 900 students. That's a lot of students. A lot of people would say, well, that didn't seem like a whole lot of students, a lot of students to us, from preschool through the 12th grade. A community growth is a concern of the school district. Community growth equals school growth, and they are hand in hand. Without a community growth, without the opportunity to increase community growth around Gaston and Wes-Del Community Schools, we would then in turn feel an enrollment decrease. Enrollment is necessary. We receive nearly $7,000 per student for our education fund. If we lose enrollment at Wes-Del Community Schools, we will lose dollars to the education fund. They're impacting Delaware County students. So the impact is not just on property tax dollars. The impact comes when students no longer and families no longer move into the community and our population in school decreases. We would lose dollars to our education programs.
Madam President, that's 3 minutes.
May I ask for just a few more on behalf of the Board of Trustees?
One more.
Thank you.
What's that name? Somebody.
Your name, sir?
Wayne Vest.
Wayne Vest.
Wayne Vest.
I appreciate it, Wayne. Thank you.
I would like to add my 3 minutes to it.
We'll get to them. Finish your 3 minutes.
Enrollment has mirrored population in our district for the last 10 to 15 years. And because of that population, we've been able to maintain a steady population at the school. However, we have increased some enrollment due to the programs that we provide through the Education and Operations Fund. And that increase in transfer students, of those transfer students that have transferred from another district, 10% have moved into the district since transferring. We think that is a plus for Gaston and for the community. Delaware County's future. I think Delaware County's future is strong schools and competition in public education. We have 6 county schools, and the State House would like to see that reduced. I don't think Delaware County wants to see that reduced. Competition is a good thing. We're wedged between Delta and Yorktown, And a loss in funding to the education fund and the operations fund would cause us not to be competitive. And I don't think anyone here wants one of the 6 schools to not be competitive. The competition in public education is a good one. We provide a specific education for our community that our community is proud of, holding on to traditions while also increasing innovation. We would hate to see any of that impact at Wes-Del Community Schools. We've seen tremendous growth in the last 5 years. We've seen tremendous improvement in our facilities and buildings and grounds, and we would hate to see any of that impacted. And this project specifically concerns us with the future of not only our community schools, but the future of our rural community that is so strong in tradition, but also is so sure to back innovation when needed and necessary. I appreciate your understanding today, and I would love the opportunity to speak to each one of you individually. Thank you for your time. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Thank you.
Okay. So that's, I mean, that is pretty damning. That is pretty damning. And that is a situation which, you know, again, I don't know if you guys are, I don't know if you forget, but while it seems as if the mood on solar has changed, at least from the standpoint of our elected officials, now they see that the anti-solar movement is large and it's not going anywhere, and they don't want to hear the bitching and the moaning. We've got Stephen Brand coming in who has said no solar, you know, the commissioners have a solar moratorium in place until sometime in March. The council now has a tax abatement solar moratorium in place. So I think that the elected officials in the county are seeing, you know, the changes that are happening. The writing is on the wall. They see that the times are changing. Back then, however, it was not like that. Back then, the commissioners were mad at the people that spoke. Anybody that got up and spoke against this, they were upset with. And when Mr. Mealy says, I made a lot of enemies that day, I cannot disagree with him. I believe that.
Well, if we look at the timeline on the solar, so
Yep.
solar's going strong.
Yep.
Strong. 22, 23, 24 rolls around. And what do? They move into Royerton.
Yep.
When he went to the Redevelopment Commission to ask about funding, where was solar at? It was still full steam ahead, wasn't it?
Yeah.
People were trying to convince the commissioners to do something, anything to put an end to it.
Yeah.
And they were hemming and hawing and shutting people up and left and right.
Yeah.
That's in May
Yep.
when they're asking for this money.
Yep.
Then when October rolls around and suddenly, we'll put a moratorium on this.
Yeah.
Because I got tired of people bitching.
Yeah.
Well, by then it's already too late.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
lots of holes in this mess.
There are lots of holes. When I talk about normally like a puzzle, and you know, I give the definition of having like 100-piece puzzle, and you know, we don't ever have the all 100 pieces. We might have 75, but you can still put it together and tell what the picture is. This is more like a puzzle that we've got like 20 of the puzzle pieces. And, you know, you can kind of see that it's like there's some forest down here, but you don't have an understanding what the picture is. Yeah, it's very, very, very crazy. And that being said, and this is a lot of records. This is a lot of records to go through.
Yeah. And as I said, if we had school board minutes,
Yeah.
it would help fill in some of these holes.
This is why good minute taking and record keeping is vital.
Unless there's recordings out there somewhere.
Unless there's recordings, videos or recordings. Yeah.
That would really help. because
Yeah.
the records they send us make it look like the school just kind of dragged its feet on this
Yeah.
and was full steam ahead on other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the other thing.
And that's the thing. So what's going on behind the scenes with the school board? We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they could be very well be trying to go full steam ahead with it too. But
Yeah,
we
right.
don't have any records to show it.
Yeah.
It's difficult. That's fantastic. You mean 2025.
25.
But in the meantime, we're up a creek. We're missing pieces.
Yeah.
That's why we say there's just so many holes. You can't point at one side or the other and go, well, they did done effed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely true. Okay, back here. Here's Brad Bookout sending in message back in 2022 to John Brook, James King about the third amended ARP plan. Obviously, you see that Wes-Del gas and sewer connection per Kyle Mealy's request at the DCRC meeting, $500,000. I'm happy to have a call. Can we discuss further if needed? He wanted these to be Bookout wanted these to be on. This was April of 2022. When did that happen? Is that new? Are you saying that is current? Because that's what's really big is I would like to know, number one, what's the status of this situation now? Who's involved? And then number two, well, I'll talk about number two here in a minute. Okay, I get it. So there was nothing. Okay, all right, I get that. All right. I want you guys to look at this. We have the funds to reline the pipes and we'll be doing it ASAP. We have approved compliance agreement with IDEM on our next steps, which was completed in August. We are moving forward. The narrative trying to be pushed is that the board fixed athletic facilities instead of fixing sewage plant. All right, I'm going to pull this down for a second. I want to ask you about that. So I'm going to tell you the narrative that I got from literally everybody involved was that you lied to IDEM. And I'm gonna be honest. From what I was hearing, it seemed as if you lied to IDEM. However, reading that email where you told them on February 7th, and everybody out there can see this in black and white with your own eyeballs, because we're making these records available to you all. Go through these documents, go to document 44 and look at that letter, and you can see that exhibit where he told them on February 7th, we cannot do the MOU. He told them. So that blows up the thought that he's lying. All right. When they're like, well, he lied to IDEM because he told them that the funds fell through and the funds didn't fall through. He didn't get the funds because he didn't do anything in time. Well, no, the funds fell through because he couldn't do the MOU. And they're like, we're going to use the funds for other things. And he was like, I get it. That's not a lie. Then the narrative that was being pushed was this athletic situation that you guys were redoing the AstroTurf rather than the wastewater. You guys were doing baseball diamonds rather than the wastewater. Okay, I was reading that. So, yes, we came under budget on the track football and had enough funds to build dugouts and press box with the same bond, helping more than just 2 sports and now 4. Okay, what about the people who say, let me ask you a question on this. What about the people who say, well, you had that bond money and all you had to do was go back and reapply and amend what you did, and you could have used that money for the treatment plant? What do you say to that? And I hear what you're saying, Craig, saying I agree that the authentic fields, the athletic fields, or whatever you're saying, the authentic or the athletic, whichever way you went with that, if you mean authentic. The fields look amazing, but water and sewer should be more important. No? Well, sure. Unless the thought was they're going to both be able to be done or this or that's, if he couldn't pull the money back, claw the money back to do something different with it, then I get what he did. I'm fine. I understand that. Okay. We held 2 public meetings on the athletic renovation bonds. We sold those bonds to a bondholder with nothing stated about sewage. The bond buyer could have voided the sale if we used the funds on anything we did not tell our public or our bond buyer. And that's absolutely true. We were working on both and could not pull back the bond money we already received through all public law on sewage.
And from the timeline, it looks like the baseball fields were being worked on in January, same time you were working on the wastewater plant.
Yeah.
So those two are going on simultaneously but separately.
Say again.
The two projects are going on, trying to figure out how to fund them, are both going on simultaneously but separately.
Yes. 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 Absolutely.
Because that was January when you got bids.
Yeah. Yeah.
That.
Yeah. That's right.
So this is before going to RDMC or however RC,
RC, ACDC, DCRC.
Yeah. So it's been simultaneously going on.
Okay, let's see here. I'm looking through this next file here.
Plan indicate Florida strategic plan. A lot of legal gobbledygook in a lot of these.
Yeah.
But so, they're both going on.
Sure.
Well, I think they probably, Craig, they would have probably started last year. Remember, 6-month process to get a bond. So,
Yeah.
you're probably looking at early 2023 that they started talking about the fields.
Yeah.
So you've got these two
When
projects.
is your board question? When is your board meetings, Kyle? Mr. Mealy?
And a Stumblefoot, that seems to be what they're trying to paint, is that priorities are off. And I'm not.
Yeah.
The documentation doesn't deny that, but it doesn't support that because we're only getting half of the documents.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
We don't have what, the schools have going on. That it's, a $5 million project that they want the county to pay for, or they want the school to pay for, and then the county gets to own. So I can understand trying to find alternatives to that.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they wouldn't give them the additional time that they would have needed to go through the bond process to secure the ARP funds. It just seems odd to me that they wouldn't have offered that.
Yeah. No, listen, Kyle, I want to hear, and I want you to be able to offer your side. That's perfectly fine. No. That's what
because
this is
we
for.
honestly only have one side.
We only
right
have
now.
one side. So yeah, having
and that's
your
why
side,
we've been struggling through this is because there's holes because we're missing the other side.
We're missing you and the school board's take on this.
$5 million is a lot to come up with in a pinch, but from the sounds of things, that was going by using the contract company that the county wanted them to, and they had bids that would have been less from someone else. That doesn't make sense either. I thought you had to go with the lowest bid.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So that's bizarre to me too, that they are only willing to go with you will use this contractor to do this project. You will pay for it, and then we will own it. That sounds like a shit deal to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird.
I would say that you're on here as a citizen. Like you said at the meeting, you have students that attend school. I would assume there. So, if I can, let me ask you a question. What about, I know something that's come up that's been kind of a point of contention from people that I've talked to or people that I've heard from. What about the request for the money? Lookout met with many of us before COVID, perhaps 2018, to discuss the I-69 exits. He told us that at the time it would cost $18 million to get water sewage from Gaston to the exit. He said it would never happen at that cost, yet now we are being painted as stopping the development. Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't think that would be right to do. So there's a situation where a school district is not an economic development group. We are to educate kids. And there's a lot to be said for that too. You know, if you can do something that can better the school and better the people in your school, the students, the staff, and everybody that's takes part in being in your school, while focusing on your main goal, which is the education of children, the betterment of children, and at the same time, whatever you're doing helps economic development in the area, then have at it. But your main and primary focus is not economic development. I absolutely agree with that. So what about the money from the Board of Health? There was a $100,000 grant from the Board of Health, and you took out various monies to do various things. A support animal of some kind. And then you wanted to, I don't know if either you wanted to and you did it, or if it was just you wanted to and you didn't do it. Some kind of drinking water system in the school. For everybody in the school, or just the students, or just the faculty, or what was the deal there? And while he's answering that, folks, and while we're waiting here, and while I'm waiting to get these records open, I want to remind you, if you would, please consider giving us a like, hitting the like on this program, consider subscribing. I think the way I'm going to start saying it from now on is subscribe if you haven't, and like if you do. Comment in the chat box below and share the show with everyone you know. It's simple, just like that. And that's how I'm going to say it. Very easy and to the point. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. Okay, I got anything else there? Let me here. Give me a second. Okay. Yes. Stumblefoot. So the health department getting that grant and being able to farm that money out, you guys had to submit written documentation of what you would use the money for, correct? Okay, that's interesting. When we received that, we were given several examples of what could be used for. Never was anything said about sewage. That has came out in the last few months. Our staff at the elementary asked about a therapy dog. It was approved by the health department. Yes. Now, I understand that maybe nothing was said about sewage. Did anybody ask about sewage, however?
That's what I was getting ready to ask.
Really?
Yes.
They might not have said anything about it specifically. That being said, did you ask?
Oh yeah, we've gotten all those requests and the POs and all that stuff in the dock dump. What it fails to mention in that dock dump is that the health department applied for it for all the county schools. All the county schools got it. And it's not something that you specifically asked for.
Yeah.
And anytime you get some kind of grant, you have a timeline in which you have to use the monies.
Sure. Yeah.
Because that makes a difference knowing that. That was one of the holes.
Yeah.
Where did this grant money come from? Who applied for it? When?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad somebody likes the therapy dog, because I about had a heart attack when I saw the price tag on it. But I know they go through a lot of training. They are expensive. You know, dealing with veterans and PTSD, I know they're expensive. I said,
does the dog just hang out at the school? Is the dog the dog is like the school's pet mascot or what? I would love to have had a dog at my school. That would be badass. because he would like me better than any of the other kids. The water system was staff water, which we have had for years. We just asked to pay for it out of the grant because we thought it would be approved. Okay. So it wasn't something that you were going to do for staff and students. Did it get approved?
I believe that one was, Christopher.
Yeah, I think so too. Ah, I love it. That's great. That's great.
So
Bailey,
Vinny
that's
helps
great.
with kids who are autistic.
That is a great story. I love it.
Yeah.
What kind of dog is it?
Oh, no, that one was denied.
After
The sewage
sewage
came up.
narrative was brought up.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what you're going to do with. By the time the sewage comes up and they deny that request, you've got what, $38,000, something like that
Yeah.
left. That's pennies
Yeah, really.
against this project.
Yeah.
If they were going to say something, they should have said something at the beginning of this of, hey, this $100,000 might help you with your sewage.
Yeah.
Kids with all different needs, a golden doodle.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, at this point, there's not really any. There's not enough left in that funding
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
to bother with putting for the sewer.
They got AEDs, which is a great expense.
So you did go ahead with a bond process on the sewage. Obviously, if you've gotten the bond.
Absolutely.
And you have an agreement with IDEM now, which is really important in all of this. Because issues with IDEM can get real expensive real fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no, I think every school should have an AED.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, you don't have to. You
Sell me on
have
that
nothing
one.
to explain there. I'm all for it. There should be one in every classroom. That might be overkill, but you know what I mean.
If it's a public building, it should have one in it.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting on you for I'm trying to take up space while you're going through records here, Christopher.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm just looking here at what more. I was going through the health department stuff. I'm looking here for more. I
am putting the link back up for the drive. For
Okay.
anybody that wants to look at the documents, it's been It's been a while since I put it in there for everyone. Now, Alva did get back to me and told me I sent it to him, and he said it opened right up.
It did? Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Kick ass.
It would be nice if Kyle would just join the panel. Are you interested in doing that?
I would love him to if he would. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to. But if he wants to, I would be more than welcome. He would be more than welcome.
Give me a yay or nay, and I'll email you a link,
Yeah.
Mr. Mealy.
Maybe he doesn't know what that means. Here's an interesting Brad book out sent to all of the Redevelopment Commission meeting people. I'm sharing an email I received reference the Wes-Del sewer project. Yeah, you want to do that? Mealy, are you available? Well, you know what we could do. He could join. Put your thing on. Turn your feed off to where you don't see you. Like this. I mean, I'll do it. You could just be a face if you'd want to be a face.
Or a letter or whatever your icon is.
Yeah, or letter or whatever your icon is.
Just
We're not going to go too much longer, but it wouldn't be bad.
I
to have
emailed you a link, sir.
Yeah, if you wanna just go through the process, we won't put your picture up. You can just go. You can just be like a square on the
Keep
page.
your camera off
Yeah,
and leave the mic on.
yeah.
So I just replied to the email with a link so you can come on. Talk a little bit about it.
That's true.
It is true.
Like literally right before I've been so stressed out about this. I got a severe headache. I had the thing come in and give me 3 ibuprofen.
I think Mr. Mealy is here, so I will go ahead and duck out.
Thank you. We're going to pull him up. Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you
Hey,
hear me,
we can hear you. It's great. So I appreciate you joining in with us, and I do agree this might be a little bit better. So why don't we just do this? Why don't you kind of just give a brief little synopsis of kind of from the start to finish of what you think has happened here for the people that may not have read everything you've said.
Well, I'm going to start with this statement. I'm still employed by Wes-Del Community Schools, and,
Sure.
and there are some board members that may approve or disapprove of me being here. So I do have to take that with some caution.
Absolutely.
As I move forward, because, I've got 2 kids and a wife, and, this is how I pay the bills just like anybody else. But
Yes, sir.
I have no problem speaking about this. I'm sorry that, it came down to just typing in the chat, and
No, that's
I
fine.
appreciate the ability to come on. Basically, we've been working on the sewage plant alongside any of the renovations that we've been doing. All of these have been done with assessments to our facilities, which we have documentations of the engineers and the architects that we've used. We've used Gibraltar Design as an architectural firm that helped us look through every nook and cranny of our facilities and gave us a rating, basically like a red light, green light, yellow light of what our facilities are like. And we did the same thing with Schmidt Design, Schmidt Associates on our athletic facilities. And we did that years ago. I would probably say we conducted that just coming out of COVID. And that gave us the opportunity to kind of see where we needed to go. And two things that came up were the sewage treatment plant and athletic facilities. I want to back up just a little bit and let you know that the sewage treatment plant and IDEM, there was a compliance report that the past superintendent was aware of. And when I took over in 2018, that was something in the transition that was good, bad, indifferent, was never really brought up to me. There were a lot of other things brought up. It wasn't brought up to me. I had nothing to show that. There was a change at IDEM in who was in charge of the case, and I didn't receive any communication about that compliance report. And I took over in 2018. I didn't receive any communication about that compliance report until, I would say, and I think I have an email from that around 2021. So there was a lapse in time that IDEM didn't have any communication with us and let us know. So that concerned me a little bit at the offset, because had we known, we could have definitely made there's a lot of years there to do a lot of things. So here's the basics of the sewage treatment plant. Our sewage treatment plant works. It's working just fine. When it doesn't work is when we have heavy rains and groundwater gets into the sewage lines that come in from the middle high school.
Sure.
And it floods. What it does is it just flushes out the system, and going to get a little gross, but solids go into the creek when we have heavy rain, and that is a violation. IDEM, that's where the compliance report comes. So what we've done, and you've done a great job of going through the weeds on a lot of this stuff, but what we were trying to do was get money on this last May ask of the Redevelopment Commission for the relining, where I would say someone could easily say the mistake was, why did you go back to these people if they had already caused so much trouble? And I would answer that with, I guess I have too much faith in trusting people. And I'm learning as I get older that you just, you think the good in everybody, and you find out that you don't mean anything to anybody. You're just another person that they can do whatever they want with. And so right now I've become their villain in this, and that's fine. I don't have any problem with that if that's what people want to think. But we don't need those funds. We went ahead and bonded after they said no. Probably if I had to go back in time, I would have not went to the Redevelopment Commission, and that probably was my fault to think I could go back and ask for that money. But the reason I went to the Redevelopment Commission, Chris, is because they're the TIF district, and they are already taking our tax dollars away from us.
Yeah.
And they have done that since 1994. So it's a little hard for me to go to a place and say, and have a board sit in front of me and know that those are my community members and my district's taxpayers' money that has been captured through that TIF, and that they can hold that and then tell me, no, you don't. And look at their bylaws and their mission as a redevelopment. Sewage and waterway and water drainage is one of their main missions.
Yeah.
And yet they denied that. And and this is probably going to get me in a lot more hot water, but it doesn't seem like I'm very liked anyway, but I'll just say this. I wholeheartedly believe this has everything to do with me standing up and speaking out against Invenergy and solar and standing with our community. I made a lot of enemies that day.
Yeah. I was there. I remember when you guys did that, and I'll be honest, I was actually quite surprised that you took that stance, and I was quite, I mean, Wes-Del's nothing to me. I don't have family that go there. I don't have children that go there. It's just, you're just another school in my county, but I was actually very proud that you did that. And I know that the Wes-Del, the community, I know that the Gaston people were thankful that, you guys were doing that. I mean, I think anymore, the whole politics of school and what teachers and the administration can say and can't say, it gets everybody, it all gets lost in the politics of it all. But I think that you were doing exactly what you guys should do, which you were standing up for the families in and around your community. And I was applauded you for doing that. And I can absolutely understand why it would cause hurt, feelings from the people on the other side. It's just unfortunate that, it would cause something like this to happen. But one of the things that I ask, and please only answer what you're comfortable with, and I completely understand it. So I get that, you got to walk a line here. So When you were, I was at the Redevelopment Commission meeting in May when you were there, and then when they rescinded the order, did you know or did you not know? And I think we talked about this a little bit back in October, but did you know that it was on the agenda again in June or no?
I didn't find out about the redevelopment, the rescission of the money until the Sunday after the Tuesday meeting.
Okay.
I was never, the board and no one was asked to attend. So the problem I have is I don't have any problem if you rescind the money. Just give me a chance to defend.
Sure.
And that's kind of where I'm at on this and this is something that happens, and we all get in this. We know this when we become any type of leadership position. There are three things that are going to happen. You're going to make decisions that are at some point are going to have to impact people you love.
Yep.
In a bad way.
Yep.
You're never going to be popular, and that's not why I do this. That's not why any of the superintendents across the state do it. It's not a popularity contest. So you're going to hurt people you love on decisions you have to make. You're never going to be liked either way on any decision. Any decision you make, you're making someone happy and somebody mad.
Yes. And
then the third thing is you're never always going to have an opportunity to defend yourself.
Yep. Right.
And so, they're going to, the funny thing for me is our attorney asked for the same records request that you have, and he still hasn't received it.
Really?
Yeah. And he asked for it far earlier than you did.
Sure.
There's a lot of things that are just interesting to me as I'm going to say this on record. I'm taking off the superintendent's hat, and people will say, well, you don't get to do that. Well, I'm going to. As a person, I find it very interesting how quickly that redevelopment commission meeting was put up. It's the fastest redevelopment commission meeting ever posted.
Yep.
That's because somebody made them aware that a letter was being sent. You also have to understand that when you sit in a certain seat as a president, sometimes your name gets put on documents, good, right, or indifferent, but you're the president, so your name goes on things. You're the secretary, your name goes on things. And sometimes those might be legal letters, and the letter may not be a strong one. It may not be a great one. And sometimes you just have to take that and do a better job of making sure it's the right letter you want to send. But we can't take things back like that. If the board probably had to look back at it, they would have just let it go. But here's the reason. A lot of people are like, why would you send the letter? I don't make those decisions. The board does. But here's what I would say that I would champion the board about. What happens when we all stop standing up?
Yep. Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, boy, you guys look really dumb for keeping this going. Like, why don't you just keep your head down and keep your mouth shut? Well, there's a lot to this that isn't being exposed, and it's really hard. Again, it goes to that third point. You don't always get a chance to defend yourself. There were a lot of meetings. When I left that redevelopment commission meeting, I was standing with a board member who will back me up on this. And I had a conversation with Mr. Walters, and he said to me, would you like to reinitiate discussions with Gaston? And I said, yes. And now he says that never happened.
Yeah, that's really interesting because, I'll tell you I said it during the episode on 304 when we left the redevelopment commission meeting in May. I assumed it was like a done deal, and because there were several people there that was speaking from the crowd, and it seemed like there were going to be. Hell, even the Muncie Sanitary District, Stephen Brand was there, and he was like, they were talking to him about maybe things that they could look at and try to brainstorm. And so I kind of thought that, like, okay, well, whatever happened, but it's kind of like this is going to be brought back up to the table, and everyone's going to be brainstorming ways to fix this.
And the number one thing I'll tell you, Stephen Brand's been nothing but great with us.
Sure.
And Stephen Brand, this is outside the Muncie Sanitary District. There's a lot of pieces that they can't come out to Gaston and do just because there's a lot to that. There's a cost for them involved. And so, I'm very appreciative of what he's done in this. And again, I'm not upset with the redevelopment commission. Those people in the redevelopment commission all do a fine job. They get information given to them just like our school board does. And, none of our board has any problem with the redevelopment commission. I have zero issue with any of those people. There are a few people that choose to, I personally believe, have an issue with me.
Yeah.
That goes back to the solar. And What I will say is how we feel in Gaston, and we're very happy to see that Rorton is now standing up.
Yes.
And now, you know, we thought we were really good in some of the funds that we raised. Rorton has eclipsed that quickly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's fine. But, you know, I cannot say, it's hard for me to say that there isn't a correlation between these events that has led to this. And also a lot of the people that I'm just like anyone else. I hear these rumors, and I will just say a lot of the names that I hear that are involved in all this all run in the same circles.
Sure.
So some of those people I really like and really respect, and some of those people, I don't think they respect me.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to respect them back.
Sure. I definitely understand that. And I don't think that you're saying anything out of turn. I think that you're being as polite about that as possible. So I don't know how anybody could have a problem with that. I guess the bottom line, and you said, you know, you're not an economic development. You guys you're not a political entity. You're not an elected official. You're the superintendent of the school system. Your goal is to educate and better the students that are there, and to keep them safe and healthy and you know, happy for the most part. I guess it is school, so you know what I mean by that. But so the number one thing, I guess, going forward for everyone is you guys are working to correct this issue with wastewater, and you are moving forward, and it's something that you guys are doing, you know, through your own resources. And do you have some kind of timeline on what that looks like, or are you not there yet?
What we're doing is we raised through the bonds. We held 2 public hearings, and this is the other thing that bothers me is I greatly appreciate what you do.
Sure.
In bringing light to things. I greatly appreciate your audience that pays attention. We have a board meeting every 2nd and 4th Thursday of the month.
Yep.
I encourage anybody that wants to come. You don't even have to be a district person. You don't have to have a kid going out there. Come out to the meeting and ask us these questions, and make sure we're doing the right things, and voice your opinion to make sure your voice is being heard, because we had 2 public hearings on this $900,000 bond, and we had a total of 8 people.
Oh my God.
And if this sewage plant is as big a deal to where they've gotten a hold of Chris Bilbrey and the political spotlight, how in the world can we only have 8 people when those were posted? And we even had other people share those on Facebook, and still only ended up with 8 people. If you're that concerned about it, show up, and you do a great job of telling people to do that. So, but that's beyond the point. But come out. The other thing is call me. I mean, come out and ask me questions. That's my role. Like the school boards, you got to understand, the superintendent is basically a CEO. They are not elected, but they serve as they're the leader of the management, and the governance line is the board. And so I have 5 bosses who I hope are not upset with me, because I decided that enough's enough and I'm going to speak up. But the board, they have day-to-day jobs, and being a school board member is one of the most difficult positions to be put into. Dealing with your people's money and their kids, boy, you're always going to fire people up.
Yeah.
But the issue is this: the board has addressed this. They've been addressing this, and I think that's their whole confusion in this, is it's never not been on their minds. They have never just said, well, we're not thinking about the sewage treatment plant. It's right behind my office. I have to hear it, see it, think about it every day I get out of my car, every day I get in my car. We have had 4. We are on our 4th sewage treatment plant since 1964. We were trying to get out of the sewage business and make a connection. Really, our only goal was to connect to Gaston. Our elementary school is already connected because it is located in Gaston. So half of our school district is already serviced by Gaston.
Sure.
We were hoping to make a connection to Gaston, because we thought, well, if they're servicing half of our kids, why wouldn't they just say, hey, we'd love to do that? The other thing is, we're the largest paying customer to the Gaston sewage plant. You know, I pay almost, $1,000 a month to get that sewage. I don't think there's anybody else in there paying that bill. So we were going to bring funds to them by connecting. We were told it was going to cost nearly $5 million to make the connection.
Yeah.
We have our engineers telling us we could do it for nearly 2.5. But we're also being told that they don't have capacity. They're not sure they have capacity. So that's why, with all these people and all this runaround we've already been through, that's why we'll just build our next sewage plant way we've been doing it for years.
Sure.
We'll reline this pipes with the $900,000. Yes. Let me get to your answer. We have $900,000 to reline the pipes. We've closed that bond. That's going to happen. That presentation can be found on our website. I gave you those links.
Yep.
Of what we did at the public hearing. We will then assess when we get the pipes relined. We need to see what happens about, when those heavy rains come in the spring, and assess what our flow is. And if our flow's better, we might actually get off of the compliance or we might actually make compliance and be off of the agreed order at that point. But we will still want to fix the plant for the future. But what we're trying to do is figure out, if you're putting an air conditioning unit on your house, you don't want to put one on that's too big. You don't want to put one on that's too small. So you have to assess the flow to figure out which size is just right to build so that it can handle the flows you have. The other thing you have to remember is we don't have kids in June, July. So we don't have the same flow in those months. So it's a different situation.
Yeah.
So anyway, then the public would see us use our debt management, because debt at home is awful. You don't want to be in debt. But in schools, your debt service fund is where you bond and you're able to do large projects. We don't have the money in our budget to do this unless we bond for it.
Sure.
So what we would do is use the $900,000. We'll use a chunk of that, about $200,000, which is the money we asked for in the Redevelopment Commission. We're going to reline our pipes. We're going to sit back. We're going to see our flows. Our operator has worked with us for years. He's going to assess that. He's going to take our water tests. He's going to make sure our flows are good. Then he's going to help with our engineers to decide, here's the size you need to build. And then we would go back to our public and say, we're going to bond again, and we're going to bond to build this sewage treatment plant. And we have already planned to do that without raising taxes, to use our debt management so it will not raise the tax rate. Because you have debt that rolls off, and you have debt that you can also, just like you can, go back and refinance your home, you can refinance your bonds. And so if some interest rate goes down, which we're hoping and crossing our fingers that's going to continue to happen, we also might be able to refinance and really keep that tax rate stable or low, or lower than it is now. So
Sure.
That's the long of it. Sorry, I did not mean.
No, you're fine.
Hijack your show tonight.
Oh, you're absolutely fine. I'm happy. I mean, I'm very happy that we were able to get your perspective, the other side, and I don't know, like you said, I don't know. I hope that your school board is not upset with you. I think that this is good for the information to be out there. I think that both sides need to be heard. And I think when you have the one side being heard and doing what they're doing and talking and spreading their information, to be able to put your side out there is very, very important. And I very much appreciate that. And, the first show I did when you popped on and was talking, the very first thing I thought was, oh man, this is, what's he going to say? But I was very appreciative that you did that, and just providing that side is good. And I will tell you, listen, we didn't have enough, like Kate said, producer Kate said, we didn't have enough to specifically point fingers one way or another, but that doesn't mean looking at all of this and listening, without hearing much of the other side, it's easy to fall into that trap of buying what everyone else is saying and being like, well, he didn't tell the truth to IDEM and whatever. Well, then in looking through this whole, 75 some documents that was just dumped on us, when you say like, well, there's the email in there where I showed that, that does exist. And when I'm able to go through and look at it and you're like, yep, that's it. That's helpful, because now when we can see and we can put that date on there that, yeah, you emailed them and you said we're not going to be able to do this. Now that makes the whole narrative of everything that they've said that you were telling IDEM, it completely changes that narrative.
In that
And
work
so,
session, in the
that's
work
cool.
session that everyone's
Yeah.
so worried about, the work session that was called. So what that is, as everybody knows, a board can call an executive session. So here's the issue. If we're going to engage our taxpayers in a type of bond that's going to exceed $1 million, which we were
Yeah.
going to do, before we just start going out and talking about that, we better have our ducks in a row and make sure that we're actually going to do that before we start that, because we have to continue to hopefully build trust in our, and after all of this, here, I hope that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm here for the
Sure.
board. I'm not here for myself. I don't care
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
somebody wants to pin this on me. What
Right.
has to happen is whether Kyle Mealy's there or whether the next superintendent, he or she, is there. Our job is to protect the integrity of the school board, and the community has to be able to trust the school board that they are making the right decisions. So I'm not here for myself. I'm here for those board members, some of which are no longer on the board, and
Sure.
some are new that don't just be painted with this brush that this is what's going on out there,
Yeah.
the behind the scenes. So let's get to that work session that took place.
Sure.
The work session was called because of the MOU.
Yeah.
The concerns in the MOU were that on our end, and I tried to explain this, I know it's hard in the chat, but the way the MO was put is we had a timeline. The ARP money had a timeline, and also the grant we were applying for. And we did have the opportunity to use 3 different government agencies. You've got the Delaware Regional Wastewater, you've got gas, and you've got the school. That grant is probably going to get pushed up the line a little bit when you're looking at the Indiana Finance Commission, and you're looking at that because we're working together. That was the goal. Hey, 3 entities are working together. They're serious about this. Let's make this work. The ARP funds kind of came in to just kick that off. Let's kick this off. And I know what they wanted. I don't disagree. They wanted a commitment. Hey, we need to have you sign on the dotted line. The problem in school is there is a public law, which is a good public law, and that is you can't do things without letting your taxpayers know. And in school, it moves extremely, extremely slow.
Sure.
So in that meeting, what we asked for was an amendment to the MOU stating something where if we can't successfully pull off the bond, and for some reason we would have a petition or a remonstrance against our bond, which could have happened.
Yeah.
We're not stuck in this and with no funding. And then we look even worse because we've caused mistrust among our whole group. And
Sure.
we didn't talk about this in the.
Oh, are you there? Hold on, you broke up there just a little bit. Say that again. You didn't talk about that.
We didn't talk about these in the board meetings. You won't find them in the minutes. And I agree, our
Okay.
minutes aren't great.
Sure.
That's why I can't wait to live stream, because people can see it in action, and then
Yes.
you can have it all right there. But the reason why we didn't talk about it in the board meetings is because we at that time had no commitment to go to a bond. If we were committed to go to the bond process, we would start talking about it. But you don't want to do that to your public and then say, oh, okay, well, now, you know what? Now we don't want to do it. Then
Yeah.
you just look like you don't know what you're doing. But yet still, here we are today looking like people are saying, well, they don't know what they're doing out there. No, we were trying to protect it. The other concern we had in protecting the taxpayer in the MOU was we couldn't understand why we were going to have to bond. And they kept saying, well, when you get the grant, which, okay, you apply by the end of March, you might find out in July if you get 10% funding, if you get 50% reimbursed funding, if you get 100%. Well, that's gambling. I mean, and you're gambling with your taxpayers' dollars.
Sure.
So what are we going to tell them in a public hearing? Well, folks, we need a bond for $5 million, and we might get 10% of that, or we might get 50% of that, or we might get, there's just not enough concrete there. So we just talked about, can we amend the MOU so it's not so painting ourselves into a corner?
Yeah.
And everyone shook hands and smiled and left, and I thought we were on a good place.
Sure.
And the next day we received a call that there would not be an amendment to the MOU, that it is to sign, and basically it was sign to get the ARP funds, sign the MOU. And I understand their attorney is correct. They have to have that MOU to be able to allocate those ARP funds.
Sure.
I get that. But we also had to use their engineer. And at the end of the day, Delaware Regional Wastewater would own the line. And they didn't do really anything other than the ARP funds. And our board struggled with that piece. If we're going to ask our taxpayers to pay $5 million and Delaware Regional is going to own it, we didn't feel like, go back to the solar. Our people already aren't very trusting.
Yeah.
And now they're going to look at the school board and say, hang on, guys, why did you make us pay for this? And then at the end of the day, you don't own it. That's kind of where we were at.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could see that. That makes sense. So,
and so if I listen, I have made mistakes. I make mistakes a lot. All right.
Sure.
One of my mistakes was going back to the Redevelopment Commission. And when I called Brad Book out to get on the agenda, he said to me, I gotta be honest with you, I'm shocked to hear from you. I think he was shocked that I even would, after everything that had happened and us losing the art funds, that I would still go back to the Redevelopment Commission. But again, I guess I'm too literal. I'm looking at it and saying, well, the TIF districts, what funds that? And that's our taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was asking for our taxpayers' money, and I didn't feel like that was the wrong thing to do. But I would say maybe my recommendation to the board to go to that meeting was the wrong one at the time.
Sure. I can understand your thinking on that now, and I definitely understand why you would think that.
Now, can I state about the football track, which is the big narrative?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So, a lot of people talk about, our priorities and where we need to be. And yeah, I can see that from the outside. And no matter what school you're at and where you go, if you build an athletic facility, everyone always says, well, all you guys care about is athletics. Well, we're also a STEM certified school district from K to 12, the only one in East Central Indiana. We have all the AP dual credit classes. We have the core 30, which means a student can graduate with their first 30 college credits and go into school as a sophomore. We have all those same things that every other school district has. We have updated our science labs. We've updated our family. We still have family and consumer science. We still have industrial tech. We have classes that other people don't have. That's why we say small school, big opportunities. But the fact of the matter was the IHSA told us we could not have home track meets for 2 years on our track. So we decided to fix our track. In doing that, to save money, we built our track on top of our existing track as a foundation. But to do that, you then have to raise your football field. We looked at both options, turf or natural grass. It came down to only a couple $100,000 difference. So the board, and this was talked about in public, so the board chose, hey, if we're going to do this and we're going to go from a 6-lane track to an 8-lane track, we're going to make this commitment. Let's make a commitment and do this the right way. Everyone's allowed their opinion on that. Was it the right thing to do at the time? That's everybody's opinion. For our school board and our school district and our kids, we felt it was. We came in under budget, and because it was already we had public hearings that stated we were going to do athletic renovations. The $1.2 million we had left over under budget meant we could use it on athletic facilities without having any public hearings, since we already said the original bond was for athletic upgrades.
Right.
So then the community saw the new dugouts, and we posted that we were doing that project. It's easy for a community member to say, well, they just did another project without telling anybody. I can see why they think that. And it's easy to drive by and say, well, look what they're doing now, but I don't remember them telling us about that. But by public law, we did not have to, because we stated in the public hearings that we had prior that the $4.5 million we were getting were for athletic upgrades. And that's what we have used it on. And that's what we sold our bonds to our bondholder on. So I went back when the narrative was, and the attorney said they have $1.2 million, and they chose, she says it in the video, and they chose to upgrade baseball and softball. That is an easy narrative to say, but the truth be told, you can call these individuals. I called Ice Miller, which is the bonding attorney, and Ice Miller said, you can't do that because you didn't mention sewage in any of your documentation of public record when you got the bond, and you didn't say that to your bondholder or buyer. They can then say, you never mentioned this to me. And that was a lease bond. And there's a difference between a general obligation bond and a lease bond, because a lease bond means you have to have a building corporation that then holds that. So there's a lot of pieces to that. Now, I would think that the county attorney would have known all of this law. So it really confused our board as to why that narrative was said in that meeting. So you have to understand why the letter was sent. They were kind of like, I tell you what, the letter doesn't get sent if Wes-Del Community Schools is at the table in June.
Yeah.
And they could have rescinded the money. That's fine. But why didn't we have an opportunity to speak? And why weren't we invited to the meeting?
That's interesting. Yeah, that is definitely a good question. And there are some people that I can pose that question to and see if I can get an answer from. Thus far, I have not got an answer for any of that. And, I had that question back the first time I talked about all of this. And so I'm still waiting on an answer for that as well. But, that's, yeah.
Well, and it's even mentioned in there, the Redevelopment Commission, there's an individual from the commission that looks up and says, I don't believe Kyle Mealy or anyone from Wes-Del is here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's a good reason for that. Because, when I viewed that video, the Sunday after the Tuesday it actually occurred, and I was informed by one of my staff members on a Sunday, hey, did you know the money was rescinded that you asked for in May? No, I didn't. So, in the video, the attorney says, well, I'll send a letter. Well, if this thing was such a big deal, is it that hard to find me and call me and say, hey, just wanted to let you know there was a meeting yesterday. And, the other thing that could have happened is I could have already lined up the bids to start that relining project thinking I had that money. Thankfully, I didn't.
Sure. Yeah.
And then my community would go, what happened? And all those people that bid for that, when they talk about all the money that was spent early on in the original, when we had Gaston, Delaware Regional, all of that.
Yeah.
We paid for a water PER, and we paid for that. A water line. We didn't even really want the water line involved. They were going to add a water line out to us. We didn't need the water line. We're on a well. But we paid the $20,000 for that. We ended up paying for that. So we didn't cause people to pay a bunch of money that we also did. We had legal fees. We had a lot of things involved. And we ended up backing out at the end. But the picture that's been painted, the reason I'm here is, I'm sorry, but a human being can only take enough. So much can be taken before you have to say, you know what? I have to get on here and defend the board a little bit. I mean, somebody has to speak up because, they could look at it two ways. There's people that would say, Kyle, why don't you just be silent and let it go? Well, but my thing is, my job is to protect the board. And at some point, someone has to speak up for the board. And there's going to be a new board. And the new board that got elected may come in and say, we didn't appreciate what you did. And he went on the political spotlight. So, we'd like to see you go down the road. Well, if that's what they choose to do, that's what they choose to do with me. But I will say this, I've been there a total of 15 years, 7 years as the superintendent. I've been an AD, assistant principal, and a principal. And here's what I'll tell you about that place. And the reason I spoke on the solar is that place is great for kids. That place is a great community of people who keep to themselves unless you poke them.
Yeah.
And when you poke them, they stand up for what's right. And we did that on the solar. And where I'm hurt is this board did nothing. I was there, and anyone can say, well, yeah, he's going to say that. He was sitting at the table. He was part of this. But I'll just say this. That board never has done anything that they have never stopped and thought, this is what's best for kids, or this is what's best for our community or our taxpayers, and to hold the integrity of Wes-Del. And so the board right now is really hurt that there's a lot of things going on in Delaware and Muncie that I think our government agency should be worried about, other than a small rural school in the northwest corner, except Chris, we stood up against solar. So there's a reason why we have a target on our back.
Absolutely. Well, and I hope that the citizens can see that. And I hope that this dump of documents will allow people to see that. I was thinking about the different things. We could just put it all up. I know it's sometimes hard to see it on the screen. And then that's when Kate said, we need to put it in a file and make it open to people. And so I know you said your attorney didn't get this. I'll send you a link to what we had. I mean, obviously, if your attorneys requested it, they should give them.
I already
the same
emailed
way.
things that
Okay.
way.
All right. Yeah. So
our
Kate's
attorney
already
has asked.
sent it.
Our attorney has asked for all requests from IDEM
Yeah.
that connect to anyone from Delaware
Yeah.
County that's had any contact. Also ask for any requests from anyone from the Gaston area that made any contact with IDEM about this.
Yeah.
And also with the Redevelopment Commission and anything that happened with that. So on both sides of this, our attorney's working on getting the public records requests for that, because
Sure.
it just helps us to understand, we're not on a witch hunt here. We're just trying to understand how this got to the point that it's gotten to.
Right.
And, I just sum it up as solar, a football field, and a sewage treatment plant. And those three things have made a perfect narrative for people to say what they want. But I'm not gonna sit here and not say that I have not had fault here.
Sure.
I have made my mistakes in this. I have I'm not a perfect person. I have made maybe some poor recommendations, some poor decisions to the board. But the only thing I can do is say, that's my job. Hey, I recommend we do this or we do that. And they have to take that recommendation. But with every time I make a mistake, there's room for growth.
Yeah, that is important. And the fact that you're able to say that means a lot. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk with us. And you guys are I always welcome to reach out. You've got the email so the email's got our contact information. Feel free to get in contact with me, privately, on the record, off the record, whatever. I definitely appreciate it. And I'm glad that you were willing to come on and talk with us, and we'll go from there. I'll give you the last word if there's anything else you want to say before you roll.
I just want to thank you.
Yeah.
Because I have not had the opportunity to defend the board in any other aspect. This is the only platform that's allowed me to do that. And you've made it comfortable for me to do that. And the other thing I will say is, it's really nice to see in today's, world that you don't have, I know that you don't always have to agree with me. And when this is said and done, you still will find some issues in there and some fault of mine in these documents. But I just appreciate the fact that you still give me the ability to defend the board and to try to speak out to our community, who that's really all I care about.
Yeah,
is that
right.
Our community knows that we are not doing anything to try to break their trust. And you're the only one that's given me that opportunity. So I appreciate it. And that's why I came on. And I probably wouldn't do that for anybody. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. And I mean, that means a lot. And yeah, I mean, look, accidents happen, mistakes occur, and it's what, like you said, it's what you do with them. If you choose to learn from them and move on and better yourself, that's the main thing. And being able to admit that and own up to it and say, well, look here, that's one thing, rather than just flat out doing something nefarious or whatever. And like I said, I have no problem admitting to you that with their side of the story for a bit, I kind of thought, man, well, it looks like maybe something kind of crazy went on here. But with the having the other side of the story and matching that with the documents that they provided, to me, it does make it a little bit more smooth, and it makes it a little bit more understandable. And just so you know, there have been several people here that have commented and said, that this episode, that your ability to have been in the comments and then to actually have come on has provided a lot of clarity to this situation. And so, you should be applauded with that. And, I appreciate you.
I'm going to leave it on this one. Then the only reason that came about is because you're the only person that gave me the opportunity to do that. So I'm going to leave, but I thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir. And you try to have a good weekend. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the superintendent of Wes-Del Community School Corporation, Kyle Mealy. And listen, I mean every word I said to him. In listening to everything that's happened and going through the records and going through everything, I mean, what Kate said when we were looking through, when she came on the very first time Kate came on, she said it better than I could have ever said it. This wasn't a thing where I was here to say, aha, Mealy did it. He's the whatever. I told you all from the very get-go on this that we would follow this from where it started to the end. And if and when there was a villain to pull off the mask of and say, this is the person who did it and this is the reason, if that was able to happen, I would gladly do it. And I would be fine with that. And if it led to Mealy being the monster, okay, I've got no problem with that. I have he owes me nothing. I owe him nothing. Or if it came out to, well, this was another fumble and bumbling weirdness from the commissioners, I have no problem saying that. There's no love lost between myself or James King or Shannon Henry or Sherry Riggin and or the Redevelopment Commission or Bill Walters. You guys know how I feel about all these people. And so that's where I felt. That all being said, with the records, with what we had here, and with the narrative from the various government entities, my preconceived notion was, something funky has went on here with the school system, with the school board, with the superintendent, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know why, and we don't have that information, but here's the villain. And in talking with him, I've been looking through these files for 2 weeks. Kate and I went through them, and I've been looking through this all day today. I mean, to the point that I've literally given myself a severe headache. I've been doing this entire show with a massive headache because of the amount of time I spent looking at the computer in the last 2 days, and really the last 2 weeks looking at these things. But having Mr. Mealy on here and having his narrative and what he said while going through the records really helped to shore up some of the missing pieces. And I'm going to tell you, when you're looking through, if you're on here and you're looking through these records, if you're from the Gaston area, do not sleep on this. Look at these records. These records are going to be there. We're not going to take them down. They're not going to be deleted. You're going to have the ability for the rest of forever, I guess, until the Google Docs no longer works, I guess. But they're going to be there, so you'll have the ability. I have created a link now. Kate's put them up, obviously, in the chat here several times. I'm going to create a post on social media and on Facebook and on X and everything when we're done with this, and I'm going to actually post the link. I went in to make a shorter link and make it more easier to deal with. And I'm going to post it actually here in the comments right now. I'm going to put it on the screen here. I just put it there on the screen, and I'm going to post it on the comments. And that is there in the comments. It's bit.ly, which is bit period ly/331. That's the episode. Wes-Del, all one word, no hyphen, Wes-Del, no T, D-E-L, Wes-Del, Wastewater Docs. And that should take you to our document dump that we got from the records. Now, I want to say this. Number one, there are some more records that are outstanding. When I get those records next week, I will add those records to this. Kate, am I right in saying we can add to it? Okay. So we will add whatever records we ever get in connection with this situation, we will add to that. So if you're from the Wes-Del area, if you're from Washington Township, if you're from Harrison Township, if you have kids that go to Wes-Del, whatever the situation is, if you're a concerned citizen in Delaware County, you care about this, go through these records. Go through these records. But when you do, and if you do, and I hope you do, the first thing that I want you to look at is don't go to one and work down. Go to 44. It's 45 on mine. It's 44 on yours. Go to 44. Go to the Brook. It's Brook and Struble letter. In yours, it's called something different. Let me tell you what it's called. I retitled it in mine. In yours, it is called, I'm clicking on this right now. "44, and it's titled No, it's wait a minute. It is wait a minute. It is 45. It is 45 in the show. It's 45. It's called Final Letter to Item on 45. Go there and click on it. And when you do, that's the Brook and Struble email. And read through that and look at the exhibits. And it's in that file. It's 26 pages. Where you can see in, say right here where it is. Show you while I'm going through it. Okay, we're getting close. Yeah, right here. It is Exhibit B from Kyle Mealy on Tuesday, February 7th, 2023. Danielle, the MOU states that the Wes-Del Board of Trustees may be required to fund over $1 million for the project. Per statutory requirements, and that means per Indiana law, the Board of Trustees cannot sign the MOU following the statutory requirements for projects over $1 million. All the attorneys needed to do was to look up the law. They're attorneys. They wouldn't have even had to ask this question had they looked up the law. Cannot sign the MOU without following statutory requirements for projects over $1 million. Therefore, the Board of Trustees cannot sign the MOU. February 2023. Boom, bang, pow, done, over, done. Danielle Struble says, Kyle Mealy refused to talk to us. Refused. We never heard back from him again. Listen, go down to Exhibit L. Bill Walters sent this to Danielle on May 24th, 2024. His response. Well, his response to me means it seemed like he's messaging him. Kyle sent it. He sent it at 7:01 p.m. Bill Walters sent it at 7:37 p.m. Friday, the 24th of May. Kyle sent it to Bill, to Aubrey Chris, to Danielle Struble, to Katina Gleason, Jay Richards. Hell, Bill Walters didn't even need to send it to Danielle Struble. Kyle Mealy sent it to Struble on his own. In our discussion at the redevelopment meeting in early May, I thought you asked if we would want to sit down again and with Gaston. My apologies. I must have misunderstood. I will let the board know that this is not the case. Now, my question is, I would like to hear from Amy Townsend. I would like to hear from Larry Batt, because Larry Batt and Amy Townsend were the board members that were at the Redevelopment Commission meeting on May 9th when Kyle spoke. And I'm going to tell you, well, real quick, before we wrap up, told you this would be a 3-hour show. We're getting ready to be done here, folks. Before we wrap up, though, I feel it's important to go back and look at this. Just so we're clear on everything. So we fully understand everything that's going on here. Here we are. Find out where this is. Give me a second here. Let's see here. Yeah, right here. Here we go. Here's the Delaware County Redevelopment Commission meeting from May 9th, 2024. Okay? I want you to listen to bits of this.
Years. I'm just more curious about the long term. 20 years. So we're just trying to fix that, buy time to bond, that's our taxpayer dollars. But still, and not utilized for the park.
All right, here we go.
We talked about it. Estimate is 200,000 for phase one.
Now, all right, look here.
Aston or another.
So I'm in this audience. Okay, and I'm not 100% sure. I'm not even going to go back and look, but I'm pretty certain that there is a correspondence back here where they allege that Bill Walters wasn't at this meeting. Kate, you remember something like that? Where they were like, oh, okay, Bill Walters wasn't even there. Because Kyle Mealy is saying Bill Walters came up to me and Larry Batt and Amy Townsend after the meeting and made a plan to work with us and sit down. And they're like, no, he didn't do that. He's denying it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Walters is right here. You know, had they said Christopher Bilbrey, had Mealy said Christopher Bilbrey came up and said something, I've got plausible deniability because I'm in this room, but you don't see me. I'm sitting with Janet Gernand back over here, back behind to Kyle's left. I'm on a stack of chairs over in the corner, but you don't ever see me. You also don't see, maybe you do. Maybe that's
possible connection.
No, that's Andrew Pop. Stephen Brand is sitting back just to the left of Bill Walters. But Bill Walters is there. He's here. Here he is. Weirdo ankle socks and all.
That's still not defined yet. We're still meeting and talking with Gaston since the last situation. So I know that I believe they were ARC funds, but I may be wrong. And I think the last earmarked money was, I think, $400,000. We would love, I don't know if that money is still there and just has not been spent. We would love to obviously capture that money if we still can. But at least our project estimate is $200,000 for phase one.
Questions? All right, so I guess I'll start because I'm on a roll today. So the 400,000, is that dispersed? I mean, no. So we talk about the commissioners have pledged $400,000 to assist with the project. I understand that there was some difficulty or something happened at the Wes-Del school level, and then that money was never drawn upon. I don't know the current status of those ARP funds.
Those ARP funds have been rededicated to another project. We never heard from Wes-Del. We presumed that it was not going forward, so the commissioners moved that money into a different ARP program, and it's no longer available.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Appreciate it. Funds requested by Wes-Del and then not utilized from ARP, not from TIF. And then ultimately, this leads to the school connecting to the town sewer system. Is that the long-term plan?
So the prior project was between Delaware Regional Wastewater, the town of Gaston, and Wes-Del Community Schools. And there was a grant that was going to be applied for. If the grant was met with whatever funding we could get from the state, that would help all three, make this project go. What happened on the school side of things is there was a concern of the line would be paid for, could be paid for entirely by the school district, which would have to bond and do that through their debt service, even if we got partial funding for the grant. And at the end of the day, would not own the line. And the concern with the board of trustees was if we bond, that's our taxpayer dollars, and then we don't own the line at the end of the day. And so there was some hesitation in that. The new thought process now is fund this again on our own through a debt service project and a bond, which would have to go to 1028 hearings and all of that for public law for our community. They would be obviously thrilled, but it is a tough one to not go forward with sewage. And connects to Gaston. We're in talks with Gaston. So the last project we were told they had capacity. Right now we're on hesitation because they're telling us they have to check to see if they have capacity. I'm not trying to hear there on all of that. That's not for you guys, but what we're really at right now is the collection system, no matter what we do and who we do that with, it has to be addressed. And it will help us right now get more time out of our age system, which is 22 years old and have a life expectancy of 20 years. So we're just trying to fix that, buy time to figure out what we're going to do. We might connect to Gaston, we might build. We know it's going to cost us about $2.5 million to build a new
All right,
You
now we're
know,
going to skip forward because I want you guys to hear this.
It really came down, so that's why I'm back.
So you need to do phase one today.
When we rebuild, we have to go with debt service. For phase two, if that's an option, obviously, we're tight on funds. So yes, that would be an option to do, saying any of that can't be
But you don't know
rediscussed.
what that could be.
We don't know right now. There's a lot of what ifs about whether we can connect the gas, and we understand that. You know, they've got to make sure that it's a good deal on their end. We're trying not to cause them to have to put any financial towards this because they're strapped as it is, and we're not trying to put a burden on that community. I'm dying to get up here, but
Like, I mean, I don't know which jurisdiction the school is in.
Listen,
That's not my product line, but I think between MSD, Yorktown, and Delaware County Regional, surely somebody can build a line, but that's a whole different conversation.
Right.
Your need today.
today is phase one to buy time, so then maybe we all can talk about how we make the other piece work.
Because that's a 10 to 15 year project, if all goes well. You can get a person in the back there.
Are you taking public comment? So, I'm Stephen Bank, that's the Santa Cruz.
so Stephen Brand speaks up. Okay, listen to this. Stephen Brand speaks up.
Question is, nobody wants sewage running over in the creek. Are you being fined behind in the day? Is there an urgency for this? And the reason for my question is, I believe if we could meet with Delaware Regional and Muncie Sanitary District, which are the sewage and the stormwater experts, I believe there might be a reasonable solution to this. With the inflow and infiltration that you mentioned that's coming into your system, you have no idea whether gas can take that flow or not. So I don't know if have they ever done flow metering out there to see?
We didn't get to that stage when we went back to it, Kyle, as he alluded to.
Now there's Bill Walters talking now. So Bill Walters is talking about this. Listen.
Got the plans, we went through the Commonwealth, all the way from Gaston to Wes-Del to 28. We have the plans and the drawings. As far as the flow, I don't think so. It's not because at that time it was not about the flow while we were working on the project. So this is new here.
Okay, I understand.
So
Are you being fined?
To answer your question, we are within the year.
Within the year, you're gonna be fined.
Okay. I am basically on probation, is what I would say. I'm putting in quarterly reports. We are not meeting what they want us to meet. So that is why our concern, and Aaron Wilson's our operator, and our concern is that if we could get the collection phase one done, we could buy some time to not hit the fines. Because he believes that Zach will do a tremendous amount for us. But yes, so some backstory, and I hate to take this much time, but we have an open case from 2017.
All right.
IBM.
Money, it's just $150 million a year for Gil.
Please don't fine us. We're working
Right,
right now.
Now listen.
And possibly to help file paperwork.
I had no idea. So we're at a point, I would say we'll be fine within a year.
So what I can tell you, the sanitary district will offer me some consultation on stormwater and sewer and possibly to help file paperwork behind it to tell them, hey, we're working on something proactively. Please don't fine us. We're working right now. And maybe that will, yes, exactly. So,
and then we could go back to the conversation.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's our effort. I mean, as we talk.
Right there, Bill Walters said we could go back to the conversation. Right there, Bill Walters says in the meeting on the record, we can go back to the conversation. Listen.
I know it's been a long time, but SRF and the grants are just one side of it. And we could go back to the conversation.
Absolutely.
I mean, SRF, I mean, as we talked in there, and Kyle, I know it's been a long time, but SRF and the grants are just one.
please don't fine us. We're working
right
now. And maybe that
will,
yes, exactly. So,
and then we could go back to the conversation.
Absolutely.
I mean, SRF, I mean, as we talked in there, and Kyle, I know it's been a long time, but SRF and the grants are just one side of it, on 25, 50, or 75%. But Jim McGraw still has money, it's just $150 million a year forgivable. He still has about 2 years of that left, I believe, not 3, that he has is available also to go out. And we talked about last night.
Yeah, and I appreciate being good last time.
No, but it is, a continued capacity, like he said. If you don't know what the flow is, she doesn't know what.
Yeah, and I understand where gas
capacity does until that gets that done.
Do you guys have meters you can drop in out there?
I don't get a meter, but I don't know what his line, I mean, that's a private, I have to Jason, they all well look at that, we take a look at that.
And I will assign Rick and John.
I'll get hold of Jason, we can see, we see what the flow is in there, and we're continuing on that side.
If you're able to skip phase one, do you still have to do phase two?
Yeah, we have to do phase, they told us. I mean,
Let me rephrase my question. If the sewer line is built from the school to the town,
I still have to do phase one,
you
yes.
still have to do phase
Sorry.
one. Okay.
So it's not
I don't-
it's not a waste of money in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, can we skip phase one and just build a line? I don't know sewer water. I'm just being honest.
I mean, maybe help understand, this is to take care of the problem there at the plant as of right now. The line is two separate different deals. You're working on just what is established right now. The line to gas is also a whole separate project.
Oh, yeah, what we're working on is everything collecting out, the bad stuff we're collecting out of the school, getting it to our lift station to get it into our plant.
Exactly.
So, sounds like there's some great collaboration, glad people showed up. I'm out of questions. I just didn't.
I'm sorry.
Twice. Well, I mean, I asked the question. I mean, it's fine.
I told him you only had 2 minutes to present.
Yes.
There you go. So the story that Bill Walters has never heard from this guy and they don't know what he's talking about, and folks, I just don't buy it. So the mention of fraud at the next meeting by the attorney is BS. I think so.
I mean, he said we're not meeting what IDEM wants us to.
Yeah.
So we need to get on this
Yeah.
so we can meet their expectations. And then she shows up and said, he's been lying to IDEM. This is all fraudulent. I mean, he said on the record.
And so, yeah. And so I can understand and I can get why the Wes-Del school would have been a little peeved at the board for having up a meeting, putting out to the world that this guy's committed fraud and he's a bad guy. Now I disagree with them on pulling the video down, and I agree with the Redevelopment Commission. You got to keep it up. It's a public meeting. That's just ludicrous. And again, I'm not going to take shots at Larry Bat. I don't know what the deal is with that letter. I don't know who officially did it. You heard again tonight, Mealy was talking about, there are sometimes people who are, when they're president, they have to sign things, their names on things that, they didn't even do. And that might be a situation here with Larry, where whoever wrote this did it with their left foot in their sleep after a 6-day bender of alcohol. I mean, it was just nuts. The letter was horrible, but it was Larry Bat who had to sign off on it. Whoever did that, I don't know. It's just strange. That being said, it seems as though, I can understand why they would send that letter out. Obviously you're not going to pull the video down and you can't do that, but I can understand why they would be upset about that video based off what we're hearing here and off the thought that they're saying, no, Bill Walters wasn't even there. I would love to hear from Larry Bat, and I would love to hear from Amy Townsend, even off the record. They could, get a hold of me and let me know. Yeah, I was there when Bill Walters came up. Look, we just saw Bill Walters at this meeting. We heard what he said there, even in just that little part. So I believe Kyle. I'm in the situation where I believe Kyle, so there's going to be more records here. We will put them in the show docs link. The link is bit.ly/331 Wes-Del Wastewater docs. You will be able to find that link in the description of this YouTube episode, you'll be able to find it in the description of the Rumble episode. You'll be able to find it everywhere. I will make a Facebook post. I will make a Twitter post. Anybody that wants it, hit me up. I can just send it to you in Messenger or whatever, and get inside of it. If you have trouble getting inside of it, let me know. If you don't, go through it. There might be a duplicate here or there. There might be something that's, out of date. There was a lot of documents to go through, and, there might be a date that it says, the date was from July 18th, but really it was July 17th, so take it for what it is. But the documents are there. They stand alone, and they show what happened with this episode as a companion, because you now are able to see those documents with Mealy's words. You were able to read his words for the first part of the show, and then we had the great idea. Thank you, Danny, for bringing him on and listening to him. That really did a lot of good. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the whole ordeal. I will let you know when we have more to tell you about this. We will bring more information to you. When we have more information, we will put more documents as they come in the doc dump file.
I've already added 2.
Okay, she's already added.
I've added the 2 things that he emailed to us.
Yeah.
Those are now included in the folder.
Good. All right. Well, you've heard it there, folks. You've heard it here. If there's anything we can do, if anyone is out there that has information on this, that wants to get in contact with me. But as of where I stand tonight, I stand in the corner of the Wes-Del Community School Corporation. I stand for the kids. I stand for Kyle Mealy and anybody else there that's trying to do the right thing by the kids in the community. I do question the Delaware County government, whole apparatus of it all, kind of working against Mealy, because Mealy did make some enemies when he came out against solar. And it's kind of interesting that we're able to go back and watch that and see kind of what started all of this. That's the reason why live streaming meetings really, really matters. So that's always good. And that's that. You can get a hold of me, Kate, Brandon, the whole shebang by emailing TPS program, TPS, Tom, Paul, Sam, or the political spotlight program at gmail.com. You can message me on Facebook at Christopher H. Bilbrey on Facebook, or facebook.com/Bilbrey318. You can find me on X, Twitter at Bilbrey Live. You can do all of that stuff. You can call us 765-546-9796. That's the studio line, or text us. And yeah, that's it. You guys have a great Friday night. Thank you for tuning in and being here with us. It's been a long show, and I'm going to go get rid of my headache. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I hope this helped kind of put this out there and kind of paint a picture of what's actually going on. And we will be back here Sunday night at 9 p.m. with episode 332, and even more commentary on the world of politics from the local, state, and national level on Sunday the 17th. So you guys take care. God bless. Have a great weekend, and we will see you back here Sunday, God willing. Thank you all very, very, very much. Good night.